everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Okay, let's talk about something from one of my members. It's been probably one of the harder things that a lot of the newbies out there are coming across, setting up their environment to get started in programming for quote-unquote quant trading, quant research, and so on and so forth. I'm going to try to provide you a solution. And why we're doing it this way. So here is another of many examples I get pretty well coming up to pretty close to a daily basis now. This is one of my members who's coming back. I installed Visual Studio with Python. Does it mean I can ignore your actions setting up your Python environment? One of my steps on one of those course videos. So as I am not from a computer background, so I'm not familiar with Linux, VirtualBox, SciPy, NumPy, Pandas. These sound very foreign to me. Okay, we've covered this. So I sent them a video, and you may want to watch that video. Now, continuing along, he says, I guess I need to put this on hold and quickly learn about Linux first before I move on, and hopefully I'll get there. Well, my response to that now is I'm releasing 2 book reports which will answer these questions, hopefully. And my next question is, do you have a Mac as well? One of the books talk about this. These should help. Okay, let me address that. So the first book, let me just talk about my frequently asked questions. If you come in here, you will see all the questions that I get weekly, daily. There's a lot. Now it's getting so big that people don't bother even going through that. So what have I done? Well, I've got 2 books coming out. Hopefully I can kill about 99.9% of all the questions that come to me with these both books. So the first book we cover, which will be out in the next few days. Don't worry, I'll put up the links, send out emails, do all my usual blah, blah, blah stuff. So I get a whack load of people asking me about all kinds of stuff. First one is mostly traders trying to get into algorithmic trading or systematic trading or automated trading. It's all the same. And they don't know where to start. So this book is for them. And even if they can't get and finish going across that finish line to build out their own system, I've got some solutions here that will hopefully help them out. So these are some of the topics I've got covered. Retail trading truths. I've got videos on this as well, but I'm just going to cover them. These are the major sections in my books. To cover these. Retail trading truths. There are probably 11 different ways retail traders are screwing you, and I only choose 2 brokers. And one of them kind of leery on, just on the technology front, or API front, but the one we all know about, interactive brokers, is the cleanest of the dirty shirts. But I reveal why and how all your other brokers are really screwing you. The next topic I want to talk about, I've done all the different types of analysis when it comes to quant, when it comes to technical analysis, and you're going to be surprised here when I say fundamental. 80% of all insider traders, professional traders, use only fundamental analysis. They do use technical analysis, but for one purpose only, to time their trades. But the fundamental analysis is used to set up their trading ideas and their trading strategies. And one of the key concepts in this is simple. Supply and demand on fixed commodities. I don't know why people always argue that, but the ones that do argue are probably losing a lot of money, and let them argue all they want. I guess you could say I'm moving on from that. Anyways, then we got under day traders, swing traders. Do I really have to go over that? A lot of them just lose, and I explain why. And of course I go on about how the retail brokers are screwing you. So is there a solution? Yes, the solution is, of course, as I said, interactive brokers. MetaTrader, probably the most popular piece of software out there, specifically around Forex traders or Forex trading. Man, good piece of software, but it's the brokers that are attached to MetaTrader that should be considered a red flag. Next up, 7 steps to consistently profit. I'll just leave it at that. There are different ways to go about increasing your trading, increasing your returns, increasing your probability of those returns, got a profitable strategy, how to get in front of very well-off capital allocators and providers. Now we come into my favorite part, obviously the book of the title, Trade Like a Boss. Well, there's two solutions I offer. You don't need to be a programmer, but one of them is an open source tool. Very powerful. It enables you to scan over 30 plus countries or 30 plus different markets in real time, set up screeners using very basic technical indicators to automate your signal generation. It's pretty awesome. Done in Java if you are a programmer. Another one that I have is a very affordable commercial add-in. Okay, if you know Excel, if you're not even a programmer, you can do some very powerful things with this add-in in Excel. It's very affordable, and it has, I think, 100 plus technical indicators, which you can use again for screening. Amazing piece of software, and again, you can automate it and link it back into other components that you may want to build or integrate with. Okay, here's the secret sauce now. Now, this is the second book in development. It's going to be out really soon, just waiting on the cover here. That's what it should look like, so we can get rid of this Fiverr watermark. What does this book entail? Well, here's again, major headlines. Now, this one's specifically for those that want to go through the journey of building out their algorithm trading systems, their own, that they own, not rely on cloud solutions. Not saying they're evil, but I wouldn't trust them with a 10-foot pole, and neither do the professional traders. Okay, just putting that out there. So let's talk about the stats. That's what we do. Of course, your choice in programming languages. And of course, if you've been following me for close to 6 years, goddamn, I've looked at every single way to trade. And that's why I put this as a major headline. There's all your language choices, and then there is MATLAB. Back to MATLAB I'll be going, and I'm very excited about that. Not saying negative things against Python or even R or other languages, just MATLAB covers a lot of things that I like to work with. Of course, we have all the major pieces we need to talk about. Which database, brokers, market data, providers. Because a lot of people are coming out, don't have a lot of money, don't even have a budget of any kind. So Python's probably their best choice. Maybe they're newbies. Python, again, is a good language to learn from. So I mentioned some of the packages. Here in this section, I also mentioned, for instance, visualization packages that you cannot get anywhere, that nobody knows. And you don't even hear about talking about, but they're very powerful visualization packages that may be useful for your arsenal. Now, here's the important thing, which brings it back to our good friend here, where I talk about, do you have a Mac? Let's talk about that. Really important, even though I have meandered quite a bit about this. Here, you'll notice it says desktop or mobile. Now, again this week, we have gotten more reports that PCs sales are dying. PCs are going to be irrelevant. They're going to be like dead weight. Everybody wants to go mobile, so we need to develop software that is geared towards mobile. Now, what are our mobile operating system choices that we have? Well, you have two, really. You have Apple versus Google, Apple iOS or Android. I personally feel more comfortable with Apple, even though consider me a fanboy and I don't care. I like Apple. You've heard my issues with Microsoft lately with the new Windows 10. Here's the problem with Android. If you want to put your live trading up on one of these platforms, or you're using your device with your trading information, and specifically your trading account, live trading account, which could be 10 grand, 100 grand, well, you're just opening up yourself into a cesspool of hacker's delight. Android's very inferior, insecure, probably the number one hacking target out there. I'm not saying Apple is any better, but I do know Apple does fight tooth and nail for a lot of things on the security level, on top of the other end against the government so that they don't snoop into their devices, which is good. Again, live trading. So this is why I go with Apple. Now in terms of mobile, with the iOS, and I come back to here, do you have a Mac? A lot of people struggle with their IDEs, integrated development environments. People struggle with which way should they go. I'm trying to do away with that. I'm trying to make it real easy for people. Learn Python, learn Swift. Right now I'm pushing a lot on Python because on the back end you can do a lot of cool stuff with Python. You can build out very easily nice trading charts. You can integrate databases fairly easily. And you can play on the operating system that you choose, be it Mac OS or Linux. In my case, Linux is still fairly complicated. I've had some new people make that migration, no problem. Here we go again. I gotta get rid of this client. Bye-bye. See ya. So people struggle with that. So let's make it one step easier. Focus on Mac. Mac is easy, okay? You have probably the best outside of Visual Studio, which I absolutely love as an IDE, but it's not available on Mac or Linux. And the Visual Code is a joke. I'd rather use something better, which I'll be getting into in a few months. But let's not get into that. It's very technical, very low level. But in terms of Mac, the IDE from Apple, Xcode, is great. There's only two languages that you get to work with. It's C++ and C, or Swift. And Swift is the chosen language for all this mobile OS stuff. If it's going to be iOS, if it's going to be the Watch OS, or if it's going to be the TV, or if it's going to be for your Mac desktop. All right? And that's one language, okay? And it's open source where IBM's pushing it. If you haven't seen the Blue Mix or all the stuff that IBM's pushing on the enterprise, they have come back a few weeks ago saying Swing is ready now for enterprise, and it's starting to get pretty popular on the OS level too, specifically around Linux. So it's starting to prove itself, and I'm not there yet, but I will be getting into Linux or into Swing. The nice thing about Swing is Apple just brought out this new product for the latest version of iOS 10, a new app called Playground. Let me just pull that up. Now, if you're new to programming, let me just see this Swift Playground. Now, this is, I believe, only available for iPads. I can't say yes or no. No. We want, right here, this is probably it. So this app is built for iPad. Seriously code on your iPad in a seriously fun way. It's really designed for kids, but if you're new to programming, it's free. And it's something that Apple's doing to really push how to code with Swing. And because of that, I think it's a great resource to learn Swing. Now, if you haven't seen other things that I've already highlighted about Swift itself, there is a lot of exciting development when it comes to trading charts, because the idea behind Swift, the struggles that I have with a lot of people now about C++ is really hard to work with when it comes to the GUI or the front end. Python is, I don't want to say it's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke. Let's leave it at that. And some other languages. Now, for me, you heard me talk about MATLAB. MATLAB can easily answer this question about interfaces, GUI graphical user interfaces. MATLAB can do the job fairly easily, and that would be my number one choice for me, right? Because it is an expensive piece of software going into the tens of thousands of dollars. But the next best option is Python's good for scripts, and that's it. And things like Jupyter for if you're going to do mathematical quant modeling, fine. But now Swift has come along, and in terms of the GUI front end, I'm really challenged by it outside of this language. You've already heard me mention about the PC sales. They're dying. So what do we have? You've heard me talk about the mobile. This is where I think Apple will rule the world. I mean, Google's getting left behind in a lot of ways. And you know, the latest Samsung Note 7 as a great example. If you want to set things on fire, you go with Samsung product. But I think a lot of people are going to be moving into the Apple world because of events like that. But for coders and people that want to really understand programming, I think this might be a good option. So, as I said about charting, and Swift is really primarily used for graphical user interfaces. Now, where is my book? This book here will talk about this heavily. Not heavily, but a couple of paragraphs about why I like Apple iOS and Swift. I mean, here's the big reasons on the charting, because we want to use Swift for the front end, and then integrate that back into the back end using what looks like is going to be a central hub of data hosted in Redis. You've heard me talk a lot about Redis. Hopefully you check out those videos. It's not about Redis. This is about Swift. So in terms of the front end, what we've got here is we've got, let's see, we've got two packages I'm looking at. One for Telerik iOS. Oops. This user interface package with Swift. See here, it does cover Swift, but it also covers some really cool financial charting. This is the big one right here. It's not sophisticated, but it's good enough and it's slick enough. And it's a $500 package. Okay, just to let people know, this is not free. If I was to choose an open source, you would be expecting me to take about a year to get that type of functionality up and running. I'm not prepared to do that, and I'm not prepared to introduce bugs into my system just to go open source. I like open source, don't get me wrong, but this is just one thing I don't have to worry about. Okay, so that's the first one, is the UI iOS. The other option that I'm looking at as another one is SideChart iOS. Now, the big reason for this is, and it's a little more expensive, let's see, the only reason I'm wanting this one is really simple. The Live Financial, looking for it. It's one of these, I know that. Line chart, candlestick, multi-series, but it's live. That's the key. And let's see here, where can I find it? Probably this one. Candlestick is something I don't mind using, but this is live, or this type of chart. Now, this package here, so there's two charting packages. We've got Telerik and SideChart, two separate charting packages. One is more for static and presentation. This one's for live charting. So you're looking at two separate apps, at least, for my needs with the charting as a front end on a Mac OS 10 system, or Mac OS now they call it. So this is why I come back and say Mac OS. So if you got Windows and you put money, as this person did come back and say they have a high-end PC system, I think you could still set up a Mac virtual machine on Windows. So it's another option. You can still work with Python, or if you want, go with Visual Studio. But I will tell you this, I would not in a million years put my live trading on a Windows system. I've been playing with the latest versions of Windows 10. It is better, but there's things in there that just scare the living hell out of me. The big one is the security, and I really question the backdoors. Not only that, but the performance on it is really slow and really just dogs, and I'm just leery with being on Windows, any kind of Windows now. I've been on Mac now for damn close to a year. I've been on Mac many years ago. Never had a problem, never had a real issue. I just upgraded this Mac to the new Mac OS 10, OS Sierra, which, to be honest, I haven't really had any real issues with it, and it seems to be a major release. So the quality of the Apple product is much better, and if I have a real problem, I just go run over to the local store 10 minutes away from me and yell at them and get problems solved. You couldn't do that with Microsoft. So that's a lot of the reasons why I'm going this direction. And especially when it comes to my live trading, and now putting my money on these systems I'm building out, I need to mitigate the risk. And I guess for me, at least, Mac, Apple, and all this iOS stuff mitigates all that risk. So these are the reasons why I'm doing that. And where am I going with this? I can't say in a couple of weeks, probably realistically in a couple of months. Once I get through my Swift learning and understanding all my charting, I will have a workshop built around that with the code, and then to put that out on a Saturday or whatever it may be to help people build out their own front-end trading systems using iOS, Swift, and probably all the Apple devices, including Mac. Some may not agree with me, that's fine. And that's okay. It's not about them, it's about me, and me helping people that have an interest in what I do, and I appreciate them for doing that. I mean, I'll get the occasional troll once in a while, but it's not about that. It's about me getting to a solution that's great for me, the fastest route and the most secure way. And that's on the technical front, okay? So even though it's a fairly lengthy video I put together today, I just want everybody to understand that logic, and hopefully you do. And again, when these books are available, where are they? This one, How to Trade Like a Boss, or Technical Secrets in Algo Trading. Once those are available, get them. Okay, they're gonna be really cheap, Like look at $7. The first one's free, and the second book will be the $7 one. Okay, nothing fancy in them, but there's a lot of juicy stuff in there that will help people accomplish their goals, and at the same time, hopefully, answer 99% of the questions that I get, because I can't get bogged down doing that anymore. So I'll just point them to these books. Hopefully they'll help you out. Thanks for listening. Over and out.